This is Jim Fetzer with James Fetzer News, and I have the extraordinary opportunity to have as my guest Judyth Vary Baker, who has been living in exile, harassed by virtue of her associations, which many challenge, with Lee Oswald in New Orleans. Judyth, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Jim.
For the sake of those who want to learn more, I have done a blog about Judyth at jamesfetzer.blogspot. Check it out. You'll learn more about her. Judyth, one of the most convincing aspects of your life story in relation to your association with Lee Oswald is the massive harassment to which you have been subjected. It's a veritable horror story.
Yeah, it's been real fun.
Real fun. In fact, you've had to live in one country after another. You've had weird accidents, attempts that appear to have been made on your life. And I must tell you, to me, it was astonishing that when I put up your blog, I received the first death threat I have ever received in about 20 years of doing research on JFK. It wasn't directly mentioning you, but I take it...
They wouldn't want to do that.
That would be too obvious, huh?
Yeah.
Tell us just a little about your association with Lee in New Orleans.
Well, he's not like he's been presented. In fact, a lot of the photos that are still of Lee that you see will show him smirking and things like that, but you don't see that in any of the TV. It's not like you in a way, maybe happy and laughing.
I've heard very, different reports about him, and I'm very interested in your characterization of his personality and character.
Well, he's been demonized. You have to see what they say about me. I'm really not. I'm not a big fat whore, honest. I'm 50 pounds since those photos were taken. I just got out of the hospital, and Nigel Turner told me I'd take the steroids and everything for inflammation. My back and neck.
Well, Judyth, I'll tell you, a few of us have added a few pounds over the years. I must confess to be in that category myself. Tell us, there was this unusual incident where he was accosted by some pro-Castro Cubans that he'd associated with because he was handing out fair play for Cuba pamphlets.
Yes.
Tell me about that incident and what he told you about it.
Well, he showed me an article. I was at 1032 Morocco. He showed me an article from the May 4th, 1963 edition of the Times-Picayune. And there it says, a 23-year-old young man is was accosted by, he was really pretending to be a drug dealer, but he was an undercover agent. And this young man was at one point beaten by 3 men. But he did all of this because he was undercover, and he finally exposed the ring. He said, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to get 3 guys to pretend to get mad at me and beat me up. And I said, oh, I'm so worried. He said, don't worry. They're not going to punch you in the nose or something. That's okay. So I have a lot of stuff like that. I can show you most of the motivations and the plans that were behind what Lee Oswald did, why he did them. I was with Lee a total face-to-face, 165 days, 130 days, excuse me, actually on face-to-face, 165 days, direct contact, and altogether I knew him a period of 203 days.
Judyth, I know that he, when he was a child, enjoyed this program with Herb Philbrick, I Led 3 Lives. Did he ever mention that to you?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, there's a photograph of me in one of the Buffalo newspapers because I was at Roswell Park Memorial Institute for Cancer Research at that time, and they took it.
Judyth, we're having an interruption. We're having an interruption in our recording, but continue. We'll use it anyway. Go ahead.
Okay. At any rate, this newspaper article, he was looking at it, and he saw it in Buffalo, New York, and he said, I wonder, he turned it over and he saw a newspaper, TV programs that were listed, and he said, I wonder if they're still playing I Led 3 Lives, and there it was, right on the back of my newspaper article, which I still have to this day. Says I Led 3 Lives, and it shows when it was being shown. He said, and he told me about it. He had seen it when he was in New York, not in Texas as Robert Oswald does. And he saw it when it was first broadcast in New York. When he saw two things. One, he saw Herbert Philbrick kissing his wife with such passion that it brought tears to his eyes when she finally found out who he really was. And the other incident, he said, made him get on his knees and he began to weep. And he said, I want to serve my country.
Judyth, tell me, you've undoubtedly seen over and over the video after his arrest in Dallas. Was that the same man that was in the videotapes that you knew in New Orleans?
Oh, yes. He lost weight, but it was the same person. It's just absolutely the same person. However, he told me that he knew he was being impersonated and it was fine with him. He stopped using the name Harvey, writing it as his middle name, in approximately 1959 because people, like his secretary, kept thinking he was writing Henry instead of Harvey. So he just started using H after that. I suspect whenever you see the name Lee Harvey Oswald written out,
yes,
after 1959, I would not believe that was his handwriting unless he was forced to do it on a document like for a passport.
After 1959.
That's right. So we're talking about that Mexico City, or the thing from Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. False. Fake.
False, fake, yes. Do you believe he was ever in Mexico City, or was the whole thing fabricated?
Well, he was never at, from what Lee told me at least, he was never even at that hotel where they say that he stayed. He stayed at a Quaker establishment, scared the devil out of him, and pretending to be a drug dealer. And he did that because he had a lot of Quaker connections. You must know that Ruth Payne had them too. Lee had learned passive resistance techniques from Quaker pamphlets and from a Quaker teacher who was a CIA guy over in Nazi Japan. There are a lot of things I know that people never ask me. Did
he ever claim to have gone to the Cuban embassy?
He told me, I don't know where he went in. He told me he went there with someone. I always suspected the reason they didn't show the pictures because he was with someone they couldn't get that person out of the picture.
Well, you know, there are photographs there that look nothing like Lee.
Of course not. Right.
And they had audio tapes, and they also weren't like Lee.
No, that wasn't either. As I say, there were things going on. I even suspect that the reason they wanted to get him down to Mexico City somehow so that they could later blame him. So we could have had anybody actually courier the materials that we were working on. I suppose it could have been someone else who could go down there and hand it off. They chose him. And now I feel they did that in order to implicate him.
J. Edgar Hoover even issued a directive to his agents in charge that someone in Mexico City was impersonating Lee Harvey Oswald. He later had them all retracted, and I think only one copy survived. Were you aware of that?
Oh, no, I didn't know any of this stuff. I only knew what Lee told me because after I saw him shot, I went into shock. I avoided looking at everything. I didn't even know that Jack Ruby and Sparky Ruby were the same people because I only saw them from the back and I just turned it all off. I can't tell you what it feels like to see someone you love shot in front of you.
Yes.
I can't.
Yes, I can appreciate that. Let me ask you this. There's been a recent controversy because a Dartmouth computer scientist has claimed that the backyard photographs of Lee are authentic. He only actually studied one photograph and one aspect of the photograph, the nose shadow. Do you have an opinion about this?
Well, I think my opinion is easily understood. First of all, Lee, I never saw him with that rifle. And by the way, I did see him with a .38 caliber Smith & Wesson long nose, not snub nose, nothing like the junk. Lee knew a lot about guns, and he would have had such junk as that carbine, that Italian carbine.
Yeah.
He never would have purchased anything by mail order. The mail order itself, Jim, has a lot that shows you it's not from him. And you probably know all that already, so I won't go into more details on that. But know that he never co-screened that.
Judyth, I'm so grateful to have you on with me, and I hope that we will be able to do many other of these interviews. Meanwhile, I want to mention, if anyone wishes to learn more about Judyth Vary Baker, just enter her name, Judyth Vary Baker, Living in Exile, and it will carry you to the blog. Judyth, I want to say I believe in you, and I wish you well, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Well, God bless you, Jim. All I can say is that if people could meet you face to face, not just read what you find on the internet, I think that they would be able to understand why I continue to fight on for the generation we all hold.